phenomenal viewers, listeners, and supporters. I am your host, Bree on the podcast, Bree Harris, and I am so excited to be here. If you're a new audience member, we are so grateful to have you. Welcome to another episode of Connected, where we discuss all things mental health, recovery, employment, and stories. Before we dive in, this show is sponsored by Contra Costa Health Services and John Muir Health Services. In today's episode, we're talking about a critical issue that affects so many of us, workplace burnout. Whether it's long hours, stress, or the pressures of balancing personal and professional life, burnout can have serious consequences on our mental and emotional health. Joining us today is an extraordinary guest, the co-chair of Voter Services and Community Conversations for the League of Women Voters. Because of today's political climate, she brings a unique perspective to the conversation. She's a passionate advocate for community engagement, social justice, and her journey is deeply rooted in her personal story. She's a proud daughter of a three-time war veteran. After earning her teaching credentials from Mills College and a master's degree from Sacramento State, she taught history at Antioch High School, inspiring young minds for years. Her father's services and resilience were a huge influence in her life, and after his passing in 2016, she found a new calling in the League of Women Voters, an organization that has given her a fresh lens on advocacy, history, and leadership. She has seen firsthand how workplace pressures can negatively impact both individuals and organizations. Today, we'll explore how workplace burnout is impacting so many of us, especially in high-pressure fields, and discuss ways to manage the stress and find balance in our lives. Please welcome Shawn Gilbert.
Thank you so much, Brianna. I am so happy that you invited me to be part of this program.
Yeah, of course. I'm so happy that we're finally able to do this episode. I feel like I say this a lot because I'm always just happy that somebody's here and they agreed to, share their story and just talk about these conversations that can be tough to talk about sometimes. So I'm just grateful that you made it and we finally got to do it.
Yes.
Yeah. How are you feeling this morning or this afternoon?
Yes, I'm feeling just fine. Just fine. Thank you for asking. It's a good day out there. A little less rain.
We've been getting a lot of rain, but it's good to see the sunshine.
Me too. I agree.
A good sign.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So we have a lot to unpack. So we'll try to, keep it pretty digestible for our viewers and supporters because it is a lot going on. So my first question for you is, can you briefly start by sharing a little about your role at the League of Women Voters and how your workplace or your work may interact with issues of workplace burnout?
Okay, well, as you mentioned, I am co-chair for Voter Services and also co-chair with my colleague Diane Bianchi with a program that we call Community Conversations. And we just came out of an exceptionally frenetic election cycle that kept the league really on its toes and just so much happening between candidate forums, roundtables at CCTV, mis and disinformation presentations. My colleagues in the league were I think they did over 32 presentations on pros and cons for all of the ballot issues that we had to make decisions on. So we were all over the county, even though we have a sister league in West County in the Richmond area. I had permission to go out in that area to one of the apartment complexes to do voter reg. So lots happening during the election cycle for many of the members in the Diablo Valley League. What was the second part of the question? How do
you balance your workplace burnout?
Well, I think that one of the important things is I spend a lot of time talking to myself about what to do to try to keep myself centered. When you're coming through something like this last election cycle, you are like a gerbil on a wheel. You just keep spinning and moving and doing it as quickly as you possibly can because you have deadlines to meet and activities that have to get organized. And so in the initial stage, I might be just stepping away from my screen, go to the bathroom, get a drink of water, throw a load of laundry in. Even that few minutes can help you reset your mind when you're in these frenetic moments. In the long run, then I do other things, like I'll step away from screen time for a while. I like to be in my garden. I like to tinker with art. I'm playing around with watercoloring now. I've never done that before. So I do that. I like to decorate in my house, do flower arrangements. I really enjoy having fresh flowers all over our home, as my husband does too. So those kind of things that bring me joy, that help me center myself, even in the midst of some crazy stuff.
Yeah.
When it's over, which probably is what you want to know, is then what? Well, I pretty much do similar to what I was mentioning. I really, this past season, enjoyed the time that we had with our family this past holiday season, and with some of our friends. And we started the year off wanting more friends to come over, so we've been inviting some of them to just have a lunch or a brunch, you know, and just chat. So those kind of things are really helpful. Getting away from the computer is important.
Yeah.
It really is.
Absolutely. It's funny because, thank you for sharing. It's funny because there's this running joke on the internet right now, and people say, go outside and touch grass. Like, get off of line, get out of all the conspiracy theories or whatever you indulge in line and online, and go touch some grass. And it's as simple as just go outside and live real life. It's the analogy. It's just go outside in real life. And we are in scary times right now, and it's scary because there's a lot of misinformation, and you don't know where the information is coming from. You don't know what to believe. You don't know what's real, what's fake. And so I think it's really important for organizations like the League of Women Voters, who are vetted, who have been around for years, and to just get that information from them. That is a filtered, and a very... what is the word I'm looking for? It's a filtered, and it's very, oh my gosh, I lost my brain. But it's a good organization.
Welcome to my world.
It's like it's like right here, and I can't figure out what it is. But yeah, I'm sorry. So it's a good organization is all I'm trying to get at, and it's trusted.
Yes.
And it's valid, and so thank you for the work that you do. So my next question is, have you ever experienced a time when burnout affected your ability to contribute to the League's mission, and how did you overcome it?
I have to absolutely say yes to that. I am one of those personalities that, of course, we learn as we live about ourselves. So I do know I tend to want to overcommit myself.
Yeah.
What people would say, you're an overachiever. And something sounds interesting, and the problem with me is many things sound interesting, so I think I can do them all, and I've learned in my ripe old age that I can't. I think the League has helped me become more aware of those kinds of things. I create my own stress, and I think this is true of all of us. What happens in our head determines what we're actually going to do. And so how do I compensate is to learn to say no.
That's a good one.
I haven't done that very well in the past. And how does it affect my work? Well, I lose mindfulness. I lose my concentration and my ability to really be effective. And that makes me not happy with myself, because I feel like I could have done better if I had not bit off so much. And so that is one thing. I understand I recognize certain traits about myself now that, when I get so stressed, I know that my heart rate's going up. I know that I am, rattled, and I can't focus. And that hurts work.
Yeah.
That hurts what I'm trying to achieve for the League, and my behavior with other people.
Yeah.
And I can get grumpy.
Yeah.
My husband is the one that really takes the brunt of that.
Of course.
Because, I'm always going to be as kind and helpful to other people, but sometimes he gets to be my unkind self, and I really am trying not to do that to him.
No, I totally agree. I totally agree. And thank you for sharing that. And I love the fact that you pointed out the lack of efficiency when that is the result of having your hands in too many pots.
Yeah.
And we try to have that. I try to have that conversation a lot at home and then sometimes here as well. It's like we have all these great ideas, but just let us focus on the things that we can perfect right now and then let's move on. And in a place like this, it's always good to have so many ideas, so many different people spewing out things, but it's like, hey, okay, let's hone in on X, Y, and Z, and then we can move on to the rest of the alphabet.
Yes.
And just at home too, I have so many ideas, so many things I want to pursue, but it's just like, what are you gonna just do and just focus on and get good at? And in that way, you could probably make it get more money from it instead of trying to do everything.
Yeah, I have had that problem for many years in my life, and it's like I like so many different things. I envy individuals who are able to have, like a handful of things that, and then they really devote time and energy to them, and they get so good.
It's so good.
I feel like I have too many choices. Take me out of Toys R Us and put away all those toys. I just want 5.
Yeah.
And I want to be able to really use those 5 well.
Yeah, that's exactly how I feel. So thank you for sharing that. So my next question is, what are some preventative measures you found to be most effective in avoiding burnout, both for yourself and colleagues at the League of Women Voters? And if that question, you've already answered it, then just let me know. But if you have anything else to add, then.
Yeah, I think I'm going to express a little bit more about the aspect of within the League. First of all, we're an organization that's 105 years old. Next week on February 14th. So I think it's appropriate. I'm wearing hearts today. We're celebrating 105 years of activism and educating and promoting and strengthening democracy. That is the mission of the goal of the League of Women Voters. That dates back to the very first efforts by women in 1848 to radically insist that they have the right to be a full citizen by being able to vote. And it took them 72 years to win that right in their fight for it. And so a lot of the people that are, and of course men, had to really believe in it too, because they were the only ones that voted. And they agreed that women deserved that right as a full citizen. We live under the laws and the rules of the government, but we didn't have a say. So there are many men and women, mostly women, but we do have many men who are in the League of Women Voters. And there was an effort at one point to want to change the name, but people really knew the League of Women Voters, so it stayed that way, but it's very inviting to all people. And so in our Diablo Valley local league, there are about 200 members, and there are, I would say, 40 to 50 maybe pretty active people. And they are all people who are very caring, very interested in creating a better world for everyone, helping to strengthen our democracy in our country, and everybody have a say in what's happening. We're not perfect. No democracy is, but the alternatives are worse. So all of these league people that work in our league do so much incredible work and care so much. And sometimes, like I shared with you, we get burned out. And how do we help one another? Well, we help one another first by saying, Brianna, what can I do to help you today? Because it looks like you've got a lot on your plate. And to me, that is like gold, because they are letting you know they're there for you, even though they may be busy. What can I take off your plate so you can get a breath? And I think that's pretty amazing. And it's contagious. So if you're in a meeting and you see a league fellow member that's talking in a way that, wait a minute, she's overwhelmed or he's overwhelmed. We need to step up and see what we can do to take something off their plate.
Yeah.
So I think we take care of one another and we protect one another.
It's a great initiative.
And my personal experience about the protecting is because I am who I am and want to be overcommitted, I have fellow league members who recognize that in me and will say, now remember, don't volunteer today. So they encourage me to be mindful about, not adding more, take care of what I have.
Yeah.
So I think that to me is the beauty of the league, the beauty of this community of caring, committed individuals that belong to the League of Women Voters.
Mm-hmm. I love that. That's a great initiative, and it creates a good work-life balance because you can come to work and know that people have your best interest in mind, and knowing that the League of Women Voters is not your whole life. And even though you dedicate a lot of time and energy into it, it's not, you still need to step away from that and live real life as well. And so, hey, when you get to work, just make sure you don't volunteer today because, we can recognize as your colleagues that you're a little on edge right now. And so that's admirable. So just for our people or for our listeners and supporters, can you tell us how you get into the League of Women Voters?
Yes.
What does that look like?
Yes. Anyone can go on the website to the League of Women Voters Diablo Valley. That's our particular league here in our area. And, the page will come up and, there's a button for join. And we have our membership chairman will contact them. And they'll get oriented to the league, help them to learn about what the league is and what it does. And they get a survey that they can complete, and it has all sorts of questions on there about trying to help them figure out what they might be interested in. That is something that we do with the league. A lot of people think the League of Women Voters, because of the name and that we are focused on voting, that is one major arm of the League of Women Voters. But the other arm, which is came out of the end when women finally got the right to vote, Carrie Chapman Catt, who is the founder of the League of Women Voters, said, okay, now what? Now all these years we've been trying to get it, we're getting it. Now what are we going to do? Are we just going to fade into the woodwork?
Right.
And that's when she thought, no, now we need to be out educating fellow citizens about how you vote, what to do to be able to vote, and educating on issues. And that's that's the second arm, advocacy, education, and advocacy. We do that. And so when you're filling out that form, that survey, we're trying to help you figure out where would you best fit in the needs that we have. So.
And this is a volunteer-based services, or is it
No one's paid.
No one's paid. Okay.
No one's paid in our local league. I think we have, I could be wrong, but I would have to verify, but I think we have a few at the national level that are paid individuals, like counselors and legal counselors, and some of our upper CEO types. But when you join the League of Women Voters Diablo Valley, you automatically are also a member of the State League, LWV California, and LWV US. And we really are a grassroots organization. Everything that happens with the league really begins in the local league areas. And it filters upward based on what membership and league chapters think.
Yes, and I remember when we were talking, when we talked a few weeks ago, or probably about 2 months ago now, but when we had our conversation, we talked about how complicated the language can be when you're reading those voter ballots. So how do you all learn the language, and is it like a certain training, or just you come together as a group and you guys talk about, like, this is what this means, or what does that look like? Where you get your education from?
Those people that join the league that want to be involved in the arm of voter services, which is what I'm co-chair with my colleague Anna Pon. We expose them to the ballot, the registration form, because oftentimes we're out at LMC, Los Medanos, or Diablo Valley, St. Mary's, wherever we are doing voter registration in the community. We want to be familiar with the voter registration form.
Right.
And we have a really good rapport also with our county office of elections. So we try to partner where we can, and we learn from them as well as learn on our own. And when someone new is coming in and want to do voter services, we walk them through what a reg form looks like, so that they're familiar with it. And once they do one voter registration event, they usually leave having said, wow, I really learned a lot today. This was a lot of fun, and I feel more confident about what I know on the form to help others register to vote. And so we it's kind of a learn on the job. If I'm going to be out, we put out the information, here's where we're doing voter reg. We need at least 2 more people. Anybody interested? Usually in our newsletter or what do they call it? MailChimp. Sometimes extra information will go out through that to membership. And people more than often say, oh, I could do that.
Yeah.
And they come. I've never done voter reg, but I'll be happy to be there.
Right.
And boy, that puts them on a really good path to be engaged.
Thank you for that. Because I'm super visual, so I have to, and I say this all the time on the podcast, paint me a picture. What does this look like? How do you guys receive your information? So what does your organization look like? So thank you for giving us that insight. Shawn, before we wrap up this episode, what's next for Shawn Gilbert? What's next for the League of Women Voters? And is there anything that you would like to let us know, or our viewers know, or a message you want to put out there?
Well, for me, personally, my husband and I and some longtime very good friends, another couple that we've been friends with for 50 years, are planning to take a trip to England.
Oh, fun.
So a little different community to be exposed to and culture, and we're looking forward to that this spring. And, do a little bit more of my creative stuff with my art, and I love being in the garden and being with my family and friends more. I think that's going to be really important, more so than I may have been aware of previously. For the League, at this point, I'm continuing to work as in voter services and with Community Conversations. And Community Conversations is a program that we're partnered with the Contra Costa County Library and CCTV and our sister league in West County. And we put on important programs for the community that are taped live on the day we present, and then on CCTV they're presented again over a 2-week period of time, and then they're posted on both the county libraries YouTube page as well as League of Women Voters Diablo Valley's YouTube page. And we have about 28 programs we produced over the last since just when the pandemic started.
Congratulations.
So, and we're sticking to Zoom because it allows so many more people to attend. Even when the information goes out about a program, it'll go as far as across the state. And we've had people come from different parts of the state. They see it, the promotional flyer, and attend. So I'm going to stick with doing that. We have so many wonderful people who come and share incredible information. And the new thing that I'm doing right now with the League is part of a study. And as of this past summer's national convention, the membership voted they wanted a study on the federal judiciary done. And what that means is across the country, leagues are organizing small committee groups to be a part of the study that we're doing reading and research and answering questions to get a consensus about what across the country we think about what we're learning. And the point of all of this is to have something added to our policy statements about the federal judiciary. So things that we are looking at are the shadow docket, recusal, restructuring. There's a lot of conversation about that. Mm-hmm. So I've never done a study before. I've never been a part of a study before. So this is a big learning curve for me and most of my team members that are on this team. Mm-hmm. So we're on a learning curve, but it's going to be fun. Yeah. And it'll be fun to see what the outcome is and the overall arching consensus about our system and what the League of Women Voters puts together for their policy statement. Yeah, I meant to say something about, because you asked me about what would I personally tell people, but I would say that if they are not engaged in our political process, I highly encourage them to. Mm-hmm. Sometimes we feel like, oh, that's just politics, it doesn't affect me, but everything affects us, mm-hmm. from what our kids are going to school and learning, to the roads that you and I drive on, to the air and the water that we consume. Mm-hmm. And I know there's a lot of frustration out there about people in the government, but I think we have to do a better job of helping our fellow members of the community across the country know all the things the government does.
Yeah.
We just it's like we go about our body, our lungs are breathing, and all this conversion of oxygen into the blood, and our heart continues to beat, so all of these other systems are working for us, and we just go about gardening and riding our bicycle. It's all happening. Yeah. I see the government similarly. It's a body that's doing all this work, mm-hmm. but we just aren't thinking about it because it's breathing and doing, mm-hmm. but we don't recognize it.
Yeah. I think people just get overwhelmed too.
I agree with you.
Overwhelmed with all of the moving parts that go into just life.
I totally agree.
That's good to hear. You guys are still going to be doing good work, and I'm ashamed that I just found out about you all at 28 years old, and so I'm happy that I now have a resource. I have a direct contact as well, and so I'm going to do better as a voter and a more educated voter, knowing that I have this resource, and it's not just in Contra Costa County. Like she said, it is a national organization that's been around for 102 years. 105 years. So I hope everyone who is listening or paying attention takes advantage of that. Shawn, thank you so much for being a part of this episode and this show. I'm really appreciative that you are here.
Thank you.
And this has been another episode of Connected. See you all later.